I'm making a new team of... I don't even need a healer at this point. I don't need you, Shorekeeper. Just kidding. No. Quick setup. So I'm going to make a new team of... Yep. It's my new team. This is the Underdog team. 2 underdogs in 1. Welcome back, YouTube. So, before we get into the video, we gotta talk about something seriously wrong with Wuthering Waves. Well, to be honest, the problem really isn't with WuWa as much as it is with WuWa's players. Go figure, right? And the crazy thing about it is that almost every single player seems to have this problem. But before we can solve the problem, we gotta define it. As the beginning of my WuWa content, outside of my first video covering Kuro's generosity and YouTube's ingratitude, it is my hope that through this video and my future videos and streams, this problem will finally be resolved. The goal then of my content now and in the future is actually to buff Kuro games, other WuWa content creators, believe it or not, the WuWa community as a whole, and what I consider to be the most important audience of them all, the new and returning players of Wuthering Waves. Today then marks the start of a new series for my channel that I'm calling WuWa's Underdogs, How to Redeem Them. Yeah, you know, those characters on the roster that everyone gets when they first start a brand new account, but no one seems to want? Yep, if you're a returning player, you are seeing them in your mind right now. These are the characters that you lose the 50-50 to on the limited banner, and those who trickle in at every 10 pull. These are the characters that never seem to be used, built, and sadly are always talked about like trash ready to be thrown into the dump. They are called weak, irrelevant, too young, too ugly, too old, too difficult, and at the end of the day, utterly useless. And if we're honest, isn't this what happens in the real world around us? So often in a world with so much hate, malice, and violence, it's not fictional characters that take this kind of heat, but it's we ourselves, day in and day out. We are made fun of, stepped on, passed over, rejected, yelled at, ignored, beaten, taken advantage of, stabbed in the back by our seemingly closest of friends, and yes, even publicly ridiculed and humiliated at the price of someone else's gain. No wonder we crawl into the dark and fade into the past as quote-unquote forgotten fools. But let me ask you, when these kinds of things happen, who is it that becomes the outcasts that fade into the background? Is it the people who inflicted the pain and insults? Is it the bully who gets beat up? How about the privileged? Do they get humbled? Is it the racist that gets punished? Is it the slanderous liar who gets silenced? No. It is those publicly deemed by the majority as worthless trash. But why, you ask? What did I ever do to them to deserve such treatment? In pain and turmoil, you ask yourself, what is so wrong with me? And some of you may even get to the point of asking, what can I do to fix me? But are these questions and their temporary answers going to bring a true resolution? Or just relief? For those that have suffered in these and many other ways, I want to ask you the most important question. And you tell me the answer. Does our experience determine our value? Or does our value surpass our vision? Hi, my name is Veilside. If you haven't met me yet, you can call me Veil. And today, I'm going to answer that very question in a way that you might not expect. As a day one player since launch, it is my belief that these characters have had a bad rep over the course of YouTube's assessment, and most, if not all of them, are actually essential for building efficient teams and easily clearing the content of the game. The only issue is that those who have just started into WuWa have no idea how to utilize them to their maximum potential. The toxic people on internet and YouTube bullies will simply say that it is because you have a skill issue. But is that really the problem? Or is it what I like to call a raw issue? Let's find out in the rest of this video. Now, before you go clicking off to some other video, hear me out for just a little bit longer. As you may know, there is one defining character in Wuthering Waves that is hated on by almost every player and content creator in the WuWa sphere. He is often known as Cucumber, Calculator, Kakarot, Sephiroth, or even as the sweaty DPS, quote unquote. Credits to Saint Tontus. Needless to say, this man, that many WuWa women in-game and in the real world secretly swoon over, has a horrible reputation. Can you guess who it is? WuWa's #1 underdog is named Calcharo. But what if I could show you how to easily play this game and redeem this character's usefulness back from the very first time that I've ever played him? Don't believe me? Watch and learn. Here is some of my first recorded gameplay of him after the first hour of trying to use and build him. As you watch, let me give you a brief introduction of who I am as a content creator. Afterwards, I'll get into the simple specifics of easily picking up any character in this game in order to clear some of the hardest content and to WuWa wisely. So, as a brief introduction to me, the first thing that you should know about me is that I like helping people to the fullest of my capacities. In one sense, you can think of me as a very conservative, respectful, and genuine guy. I strive for quality over quantity, integrity over personal gain, and I invest in longevity. In other words, I have the marathon in view and not just the race. In the second sense, you can also think of me as a support class in real life that provides a sufficient amount of damage, shielding, and healing. I'm someone who strives to be objective, intellectual, and also sarcastically goofy in various different ways. I am not afraid to draw contrasts or comparisons, nor do I think it is a problem to commend the beauty of a female character or the style of a male character. Ultimately, they are all equal in their roles and gameplay, despite their varying field time. In the past, I have covered a few games by making how-to guides for those with cool, fast-paced combat. The first game, that you are seeing on screen, was called 100 Soul, which was made by the developers known as Hound 13. Although the game sadly shut down, they are currently in development of 2 other games called Dragon Sword and Project M that looks so freaking cool. You'll definitely have to check them out more on YouTube. I'll post some links below to make it easier for you. The second game that I have made guides on for YouTube is more of a well-known game called Aether Gazer. Here's a clip. When I started this game, I ended up having 3 separate accounts in order to spread out my resources so I could pull on different characters for each account and have a few strong teams with a particular elemental emphasis. The workload ended up being too much in the long run, but it was fun nonetheless. In the wake of life demands, I will actually be giving away 2 out of 3 of these fully built accounts in the coming weeks for those who join my Discord and win the competition. If you're interested in this competition and learning how you can get one of these accounts, join my Discord and you'll see the event running. For the last year, however, I have committed myself to primarily play WuWa. I might dabble in ZZZ, pick up AG again, or try out another game in the future, but Wuthering Waves is priority for me because, for one thing, I greatly respect the character Kuro Games has shown us thus far in their business practices towards their players. They have continually humbled themselves and listened to the valid points of players and have risen to the top of free-to-play gacha games in terms of quality of life and international reach in as little as a year, to say nothing else of their other impressive successes. Similarly, in hindsight of my past videos, my sole purpose has always been to help new players enjoy the game through a brief yet broad perspective. By passing down what I have learned from other pro gamers and trial and error in a thorough and brief way, my goal has always been to accelerate their gameplay through factual information and helpful examples. To that end, this is my same goal for WuWa content. Also, if you couldn't already tell, a big passion of mine in life is to actually help people in ways that will last. So, in that respect, I guess you can think of me as a holy paladin from World of Warcraft in real life. I want to provide flash heals and quick shields to those taking the most damage, and buff people in such a super efficient way that it excels their own gameplay and overall experience of the game, even while also indirectly buffing an amazing business I can truly stand behind. And no, I am not under contract with Kuro. The reason I want to do this for WuWa and its growing community is because I think I could offer you insights that might just transform your whole WuWa experience in the best way possible. But here's where the rubber meets the road. When I first started playing, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I was so bad, oh my gosh. Even into the first couple of months after pulling Jian, his signature weapon, Yinlin, her signature weapon, and Changli, the subject of echoes for me was not only unbearably confusing, but also super difficult to grasp. As some examples, I had all the wrong echoes on Jian. I had all the wrong stats on those echoes, and I was even trying to use Yinlin as a main damage dealer. Crazy, I know. Back then, though, I was just super excited for the sheer graphics of this game. Having the open world factor was really intriguing to me as well, but I didn't want it to just be a repeat of Genshin Impact, and I'm so glad that it is not. Like, sure, there are some similarities, but WuWa is just better in almost every conceivable way, in my opinion. Genshin has many good qualities, for sure, but one thing that just does not appeal to me in the slightest is the adolescence of almost every character. But when I log into WuWa, I don't feel like I'm playing a child or an immensely slow teenager as I glide around the world and defeat various game modes. Now, that's not to say that Genshin Impact is bad, or that it doesn't have factors of its own quality of life and fun aspects. It is, after all, one of the major games that we follow and play in my Discord, along with many other popular titles. But for me personally, and for many other people who are interested in an open-world free-to-play game, WuWa is simply more realistic. There are some issues I have with Hoyo vs. business practices, sure, but at the end of the day, that's on them and the individuals of those who play or pay and play their games. WuWa, however, currently only has 2 children as main characters for their roster. Well, 3 if you count Yuhu, but many don't even play her because of how confusing she seems to be at first. Playing as children or childish-looking characters just does not appeal to me in the least. But when you are in a pinch and in need of a healer or a DPS in the Tower of Adversity, for example, they can easily help you achieve lots of free Astrite for little to no investment. The only question that runs through the mind of new players when they try to play characters that aren't as easy to button mash with is, do I have what it takes to actually play this game? Or is it just too difficult or skill intensive to play and be good at? Well, I'm here to tell you the answer. The answer is that you can easily get good at this game. And no, it's not too demanding of skill for you to be efficient, even if you are a free-to-play player. You don't have skill issues, but you may be so raw or new at the game that you have a lack of understanding. And that's okay. And that is the point of my content, to teach you how to understand the game in a super simple way, to the point where you can pick up any character and learn how to play them quickly and effectively. Even the most hated underdog character called Calcharo. He himself will be our first character that can be redeemed back into usefulness, just like you can be in the real world. With that being said, let's get into our series of how to WuWa wisely, redeeming back WuWa's Underdogs. Alright, I think we're going to work on Underdog number 1. Who do we have? No. This outro. We could do Yang Yang. Could do Yang Yang. What do you have? The incoming Resonator has their Resonance Liberation damage amplified by 38% for 14 seconds or until they're switched out. Hey, that sounds useful. Okay. Let's see. Who else? What's your outro skill? Yeah, resonance skill. That's what I thought. 38. Is this 38 as well? It is. 14 seconds compared to you. How many seconds is it for you? Oh, it's 10. Oh, nice. Heavy attack. Is it 14? 14, yep, heavy attack. Alright, so it's basically between Mortiphy and... No. Who was it? Oh yeah, John Shin. Grouping she has. So, let me just show you. I'll just quickly show you. So obviously, when we go to my team, level 1, level 1, level 1. Alright? Isn't that interesting? Okay, so here's my healer. She heals a little bit. She heals only when she has a shield up. And when that shield is up, it heals herself. And then if I swap to Mortiphy, the shield would be on him. And then that shield will heal him. And then if I swap to Calcharo, then the shield will be on him, and the shield will heal him. Okay? So she's a healer. So that kind of defines like what kind of echo set she's going to be on. Mortiphy is a sub DPS. That's just a general principle. It's just how he is played. He doesn't produce enough damage to be a main DPS. So I guess a quick way to see that, let's see. A quick way to see that is kind of like in a number of areas, but basically you can click on his outro skill here, and you can see that he buffs the incoming Resonator with 38% of heavy attack damage for 14 seconds. and he has such a quick playstyle since he's a pistol user that he's able to just get on the field and get off the field really quickly, which is great. So yeah, he also has fusion damage on this skill tree pillar and this one over here. Usually the outer ones are the same, and then the inner ones are the same. So he has fusion damage and attack, right? That kind of indicates to you that he's not going to do that much damage, because usually damage dealers, DPS units, they have crit rate or crit damage, unless they're like Brant, which he has ER, I think. I can't remember what he has. But basically, Mortefi provides coordinated attacks, as in once you pop all of his stuff and he's off the field, his attacks are still hitting the enemy while you're attacking with someone else on the field. That's a coordinated attack. So it just coordinated. It works in coordinate with, you know, your main DPS. Okay, so going back then, my main DPS is obviously going to be Calcharo. Okay, let's look at his then. Let's look at his details. In his skill tree, he's got crit damage. Crit damage over here, and then attack. Okay, attack percent. Right? Okay, and as you saw earlier, basically what we want to do to determine what kind of substats we want on his echoes is we just quickly skim through each of these skills down here. I mean, his outro skill summons a phantom support to support the active resonator, clearing the targets in front with a slash. The phantom attack deals electro damage of this much. And if you want, you can do the math, but I don't care. So that's basically a little bit extra damage for the next person who comes in, which would be the healer. So that's fine, right? It's not necessary. But basically what we want to look for, this is the cheat code to figuring out every single character. And that's why we're starting off with Calcharo as the #1 underdog of Wuthering Waves. Because everyone hates this guy. Everyone absolutely hates this guy. They think he's too sweaty, they think he's too difficult to play, they think he doesn't produce that much damage, and they've hated on him basically since launch because he was there at 1.0. So we're just going to quickly see what he wants, like what. So obviously we just by looking at the colors, right, we see a bunch of purple and it just says electro damage, right? So his basic attack does electro, his heavy attack does electro, his mid-air attack does electro, and his dodge counter, or whenever someone hits you or tries to hit you, you dodge it, and then right after you dodge, you hit the basic attack button once. That's a dodge counter. So it basically it makes you dodge, and then you'll do a quick attack really quick after. So that one also does electro damage. Okay, so that's pretty self-explanatory. We didn't even have to read the sentence. Same here. We have electro damage, but as you start to see longer descriptions, what you want to do is you want to look for the phrase considered as. So we could just skim for that, right? Calcharo, blah, 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 blah. We're not even reading. We're just skimming. We're looking for considered as. Okay, here's a longer description. We're skimming, we're skimming, we're skimming. Considered as heavy attack damage. That means Calcharo wants heavy attack damage on the substats of his echoes. Okay? And this is also really cool, but whatever this is that we're reading about here in his Forte circuit, it recovers resonance energy and concerto energy. That is huge. That is so cool. That is really, really, really good. Even if you don't understand what those are, and I will explain them, later. But the concerto energy is probably like one of the most important energies in the game. It's that OP. It's that epic. So we're looking for more considered as, right? Okay. Skimming. Looking for considered as. Here it is. Considered as resonance liberation damage. Okay, so the first one up here was heavy attack, right? Considered as heavy attack damage. And now this one down here is saying considered as resonance liberation damage. And then again, it says whatever this is, this heavy attack death messenger, it recovers resonance energy and concerto energy. So cool. So cool. Alright, so now we know in his substats that he wants heavy attack and he wants resonance liberation damage bonus, right? And so we just skim through this and it's not saying anything about considered as, so we'll just keep moving. Go to the next one. Blah 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 blah. Considered as intro skill damage, which is very interesting. But hey, that's okay. We don't. I mean, that one's okay, but you can't, like, as you start to play the game and you start to roll on echoes and get their substats, which you really shouldn't roll on blues or greens or blues at all. I mean, maybe a little bit on purples if you really need it. To beat like a hologram or something, but you shouldn't even need it on purples most of the time. And outside of that, you can just save all your echo tubes for gold echoes, because that's you lose a lot of echo tubes. Echo tubes are very rare in end game. But anyway, so this is considered as intro skill damage, so that's fine. But whenever you roll on echoes, there's no substat that says intro skill damage bonus. So we can kind of ignore this one. So let's keep going. Considered as resonance liberation bonus. Okay, so that's a second resonance liberation damage bonus that we have found. And here's another one. There's a third. So we got 3 resonance liberation damage bonuses that are considered as. We got 1 heavy attack. And now right down here it says considered as basic attack damage. So that's 5 substats that we just discovered, just within his liberation. We need, for substats on his echoes, we need heavy attack, we need resonance liberation damage a lot, since it's repeated 3 times, and then we also need basic attack damage. So all 3 of those are really good, but obviously the resonance liberation damage is the priority, because it's repeated, right? And then, here's our intro skill. We already looked at the outro skill. Now if we go back to the Forte circuit and we just go up, casting heavy attack Mercy gives Calcharo 10% resonance liberation damage bonus. Alright, so that's the 4th time it has mentioned resonance liberation damage. Lastly, when heavy attack Death Messenger hits the target, the damage taken by Calcharo is reduced by 15%. Okay, so there we go. We already have what we need on our echoes. So a general rule is that with echoes, I'll just use her as an example, even though this echo set sucks because it's blue greens. Right, I've only had the account 6 days. Don't be judging me now. And I've been speed running and I have not focused on echoes. I've been trying to collect as much astrite as I can and do the story as much as I can, so that I can actually pull certain characters while the anniversary banner is up right now. We're still in phase 1, if you look here. And we have 11 days and 7 hours until phase 1 ends. So I've already got Zani, I got her signature weapon, then I'm going for Gion, and I'm probably going to go for Verdant Summit so I can share it between Gion and Calcharo. And then on this one, I'm just like rolling to get characters as much as I can. Yeah, and that's kind of the goal. So I'm speedrunning and trying just to do the events so I can get as much astrite as I can. But that's how you figure out how to play a character, basically. So now, when it comes to substats, as an example, here's Zani and her crappy, and as you can see, I did a no-no. Since I'm doing the speed run, like I was saying, I actually rolled on 1 echo. So I got crit damage and heavy attack, which is what she wants, and it was helpful, right? Well, for Calcharo, it's going to be different. I have been farming a little bit of echoes for him because I've been wanting to get him started. So basically, we want to put him on Void Thunder, and we want to start with our 4 cost. 4, 3, 3, 1, 1. That's what you want to do. Don't even mess with 4, 1, 1, 1, or 4, 4, 1, 1, 1. Don't. It's just not as efficient. Don't mess with it. So, I mean, with blue, green, and purple echoes, it doesn't really matter. What matters most until you can get gold echoes that are actually good is just completing the Sonata effect down here. But I'd rather complete the Sonata effect with blue and green echoes rather than a crappy defensive purple echo, right? So we'll probably go with this crit rate. We got attack, we got healing bonus, attack. Yeah, we'll go with this crit rate. So we'll just equip him, and then we'll move to our 3 costs. And we always want to go with the electro damage bonus. So these two bars are called main stats. So on every echo you get 2 main stats, and then you get 5 substats. But since I haven't rolled on this echo, I mean, I'll just show you. It's a purple one, so let's just do it. As you can see, 4 substats. But once we get up to gold, then you get 5 substats. So here's the first one. Okay, we got crit damage. That's actually useful. I'm not going to keep rolling, though. But that was just an example. So the first 2 are main stats, and the next 4 in purple echoes are substats. But if it was gold, it would have 5 total substats. So we'll just go ahead and equip him. And we can't use the same echo twice, right? That's a flautist. So we have to use something different for this one. Energy regen could be helpful. Generally, though, we want to... So once you choose Void Thunder up here in this filter, then you want to go down here and do tuning status, sort by tuning status, like if you've rolled on previous echoes and they're at +5, +10, +15, that's what it will front load your list with. And then down here you can select more of a filter. So I always do this, and I look for what I'm looking for, which is electro damage for the main stat. So it says main, that means main stat. Okay, and then from there, if you have rolled on a bunch of echoes, you can select your main stat, and then you can actually select your substat preferences as well. You could go crit rate, you go crit damage, and energy regen, right? But since I haven't rolled on anything, it's not going to show up for me on anything. But it will show me my main stats first. And so here's an energy regen bird. And it looks like I don't have another electro. So we're just going to go with the energy regen bird, wherever it is, right here. Yeah, we'll go with him. And then we go to our 1 costs, and now we just want attack ones. So we can filter that out, take that filter off, this one off, this one off, this one off. And we're just looking for main attack %. Okay, so to organize for us, and this one is an attack. So we can't use the same echo again, like I said. So let's just look for, so no other purples are attack. So we'll just go with a blue, I guess, for the time being. We can't use the same lizard again, so it's fine. We'll just use this dude. Alright. Not too bad. 3 out of 5 purples. That's pretty good. So his stats are going to look crappy, of course, because you're not in any good echoes. But it's fine. As long as you're getting the echo set here, because this echo, the 4 cost, is going to transform, and it increases the character's electro damage and resonance liberation damage. So that's a huge buff. That's 2 buffs right there, just from using this echo. Down here, if you get the 2-piece Sonata effect, as in if you get 2 pieces of Void Thunder that are not the same echo, it'll boost your electro damage. And then if you get 5 pieces that are not the same echo, it'll boost your heavy attack. Wait, upon using heavy attack or resonance skill, it boosts your electro damage even more. Okay, so that's perfect. Now we want to go to our healer, and for healers, I mean, you could hit suggest, right, and it will show you 3 of her best echo sets. But so Sierra Gale, that's if you're going to use her as a DPS, a damage person. Moonlit Clouds is if you're going to use her as like a sub DPS, as in she's going to help with a little bit of DPS, but then she'll also like basically buff your main DPS. And then Rejuvenating Glow, as you can tell by the symbol, is a healing set, and that's what we're going to do. So we could click this and we could hit auto, but let's see if we can find something better. So, Rejuvenating Glow, 4 cost. So this one's crit damage, this one's also a crit damage. Blue is better than green, so obviously we're going to use this one. Yep. And then we go to our 3s, because here's the thing, right? I mean, it's not just about, like, you get more crit damage than this one. It's also about what the Echo skill also does for you. So the turtle basically gives you defense. Dealing glacial damage to nearby enemies based on current character's defense, reducing incoming damage, increased damage dealt. Wait a second. So, looks like there's 2 buffs in this last sentence. Reduce incoming damage, so it reduces your damage taken, and then it increases the damage that you deal. But this one, however, summons a fraction of the fallacy of no return, his power to unleash powerful blows, granting bonus of energy regen for the resonator and bonus attack for all team members, not just one person. That is better. So energy regen is what's going to help you get your ultimate or your liberation off faster. So this is the better choice. Okay, so now let's check out our 3 costs. And again, we're going to use this filter down here to sort by tuning status. We're also going to be looking for, since she's a healer, we're going to be looking for healing bonus. She is arrow. But you know what? I'd rather look for energy regen first. And then, I mean, I guess arrow and attack. Okay, so 3 cost wise, we got this one, which is arrow damage, electro, energy regen. That's what we want. So we're gonna choose it. Yeah, we're choosing that. Okay, and then for this echo, we need another something. We could do arrow. Here's another energy regen. Perfect. Okay. And then we gotta go to our 1 cost, and instead of looking for attack, we're not looking for attack because she's a healer. She doesn't need attack. She needs HP, honestly. So we'll take this one. And green's HP. We might as well just take this one. However much Forte Circuit you have built up, you will gain a shield based off of that Forte Circuit bar, which is the bar right above your health. As the shield provided by a heavy attack Primordial Chi Spiral persists, the active resonator is healed once every 6 seconds. So, to get her shield on, you have to hold down your basic attack button. That is a heavy attack. So, and the duration of your shield is based on the bar above your health called your Forte Circuit. So if you can fill up that bar as fast as possible, and then you hold down your basic attack button to do a heavy attack, that's going to throw up a shield. And then right when that shield comes up, then you switch to the next person. That's basically what we're going to use her for. Like, yeah, we'll use her for her other skill. I think it's this Resonance Liberation. Yeah. Create a strong wind field, continuously pulling targets within the wind field to the center and dealing arrow damage. So it's going to suck all the enemies in, right? And sure, it's going to do arrow damage, but we don't care about that. We simply are using her to group enemies and to give us a healing shield. And as she is swapped off the field, her outro skill is going to boost Resonance Liberation damage bonus for 14 seconds. And that is why we have her first, because I know, like, even from the smallest amount of videos that I've seen on her, she is kind of slow. Like, it takes her a little bit to cast her attacks and whatever. So if we can get used to playing her just a little bit, to do certain casts enough to build up her Forte Circuit bar, then to use her Liberation, which will group the enemies, her ultimate, it'll group the enemies, and then all of a sudden we just hold down our basic attack button, throw up our shield, and then quickly swap to our sub DPS. From that point, we have 14 seconds. And having previous experience with Mortify, I know that he does not need to be, like, he is not on the field long at all. Maybe 2 or 3 seconds. So that means you have like 11 or 12 seconds left of 38% Resonance Liberation damage. And then Mortify is also going to buff heavy attack damage based on his skills, which we could just quickly go to his outro skill, heavy attack damage bonus, 38%, right? So maybe it would be better. Maybe it would be better to actually swap the team. I don't know. And this is something you would have to play around with, but maybe it would be better just to swap these two. Because he's fast, she's kind of slow. But if we consider Calcharo and what he wants most out of the 5 things that we discovered that he wanted heavy attack, yes. He also wanted basic attack on his substats, but he had 3 things that were repeated in his skill tree, and it was Resonance Liberation damage. So that means he specializes in Resonance Liberation damage. So it would be better, probably. First, you got to get used to playing Jian Xin, right? A little bit, just so you can be as quick as possible with her on the field. But it would be better to start off on your sub DPS over here, and then as soon as he leaves the field, then that is 14 seconds of heavy attack. So then Jian Xin comes into the field. We can, hopefully with enough energy regen, she's got her stuff built pretty much. And then we can use her Liberation, group the enemies, and then hold our heavy attack, throw up a shield that's going to heal us. And as soon as we swap off of her, then we have a full 14 seconds of 38% of Resonance Liberation damage that will be applied to Calcharo. And that would be perfect. Because once Calcharo and Jian Xin have enough energy regen into their echoes, they will both have their liberations up as soon as you swap to them. And then at that point, it's super efficient, and you can just immediately go into Calcharo's liberation and start doing the most damage. Because by that time, you might have like, what, 11, 12, maybe 10 seconds left of Mortify's buff of heavy attack damage, and it's being applied to Calcharo. But then you're going to have the full 14 seconds of liberation damage bonus applied to Calcharo as well. And that's what we want. But before we get there, we actually have to start building them. So here's the question, who should we build first? First, we need to build Calcharo. He's going to be doing the most damage, so we always want to build our main DPS first in a hyper carry team, which simply means you have one character who's typically the healer, who's on the field maybe 5% of the time. You have a sub DPS on the field who's maybe on the field maybe another 5%. And then you have your main DPS, your main character who does the damage on the field for 90% of the time. That's what a hyper carry is. So let's start building them. If you want to know more, check out my next video on how to WuWa wisely, called WuWa's Underdogs number 2, Lumi. Grace and peace to you.